All right.
And good morning, everybody. TGD today, it's Pro Golf Talk Live with Al Cloyd, HR3, Hugh Royer, and, of course, the Godfather.
The legend in his own mind, George.
I'm a Dapper Dan man.
Did you notice how his voice changed when he said The Godfather?
He tries to act all sexy.
Well, you're supposed to be on cue with the Augusta music.
Yeah. And for you folks that never heard it, George can be loud and obnoxious and boisterous and all that stuff. And when the Augusta theme song comes on, he goes into the funeral mode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Dearly
we keep
beloved.
2 boxes of tissues back here just to be safe.
The
Yeah.
eulogy.
Yeah, he goes into eulogy, whatever you call it, mode. Yeah.
All right, Pro Golf Talk Live, European Tour. If you're able to catch the coverage sent out by BBC, Golf Channel's showing it early in the mornings because they're 5 hours ahead of us, of course. But if you're able to catch this golf course in Paris, France, look at it, study it, keep an eye on it because Ryder Cup is going there next year. A great golf course, a lot of fun to watch these guys try to navigate around this puppy.
Oh, no doubt.
And the wind kicked up this morning, and I'm telling you what, a couple of those holes are beast.
Oh, it's a really good-looking golf course. I mean, it's got some uniqueness to it, but it is just – you look at it, it's like it's right there in front of you.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything's there in front of you, but there's nothing there in front of you. I mean, you're sitting there looking at 18-yard wide fairways that's covered on the right with water, that's covered on the left with grasses that come up to your waist.
Yeah, it's called hay.
Yeah, exactly. Chambers Bay.
That's what we feed to our horses and
Chambers
cows up
Bay.
in Tennessee.
And then if you're lucky enough to hit the fairway, it's like this morning I'm watching Martin Keimer literally have to change his pants because he was wearing white and he started showing stains. Okay, he's trying to split the fairway with a 3-wood, and then he gets out there and now he's got to hit a 180-yard shot into a hard left to right wind that if let's say you played it 11 yards left of flag or even middle green, then you're in the water. If you played it at the pin and it moved 11 yards, you're in the water. So, I mean, you have to hit the perfect shot.
Yep.
And we watched several guys come through here that were playing pretty well first 4 or 5 holes. I mean, one in case is, I got to look for his name here to David Howell.
Yep.
David Howell was 4 under through 6.
Wow.
4 under through 6. He was running away with this thing. First day, he finishes even par. So that tells you a little bit about how this golf
And he's
course
probably happy
will jump
he
up.
finished at even par.
Well, the scores right now, you're looking at 3 under carrying the lead into this thing. Bernd Wiesberger is at 3 under along with Victor Dubuisson, who was struggling, folks. I mean, 9 holes, Victor Dubuisson was at +1. So he started getting in gear, making some putts. Simon Kahn is at 2 under par. David Lipsky is at 2 under par. Michael Hoey's at 2 under. Miko Ilinen. You've got On at 1 under par. On is a good-looking player, dude. I mean, that boy can stripe a ball. Richie Ramsey, Danny Willett. Good to see Danny Willett playing well. He's at 1 under par. So Martin Keimer finishes at 1 under. He was really struggling. Martin Keimer was at +2. So all of a sudden he started turning around. And I think what helped them, the Keimer group, along with they were Keimer, Dubuisson, and Wiesberger were playing together, and they started on the back first. So they really hit those hard holes in the back
Early.
Well, hole 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
But that was 16, 17, 18. And then they made the turn, and they were able to make some birdies on the front side, which is a little bit easier.
Well, obviously, that's where David Howell started, and he was 4 under through 6.
Right.
It shows you that birdie opportunities are they're more there than they are in the other holes.
Jamie Donaldson was at 3 under par at one time. He finishes at even par, so that kind of gives you another hint as to the difficulty in really the last 3 holes on the back 9. Even 4 holes on the back 9. Now that you sit and think about it, 15 is a difficult hole, but 16's a bear. 17's dead into the wind. It's a bear. They were playing 2 clubs more just on 17 today alone, just because the wind picked up that much. And then again, too, they're getting a little bit off the fairway on this golf course in Paris, and they are just literally playing for 80-yard chip outs. They may be 160 away from the green, but there's no way, because normally the green's elevated. The green is well protected. The green is covered all around it with some sort of a hazard. And so they are simply stating, I can't even get the club through this stuff, and they're in the first cut.
Wow.
So the golf course, where I thought when they made the announcement about this golf course holding the Ryder Cup, I was questioning it. Okay, what justifies this course holding a Ryder Cup in Paris of all places? Not exactly. France is not known as the golfing. It's not known as the Myrtle Beach of golf.
It's not known as a host town anyway.
That's right. Exactly. But after seeing this golf course and watching it this morning and watching these players struggle with it, I mean, now you don't have all the top names there, but you got Jamie Donaldson, who Ryder Cup player, participant, played extremely well, and you saw him struggle with it. Danny Willett, we'll see him on the Ryder Cup. Victor Dubuisson, we'll see him on the Ryder Cup. Okay, so after seeing these players go through this thing and the course taking its advantage of them versus them of it, then I'm sold now. I think it's going to be a wonderful venue. I'm looking forward to it. So
Almost to Chambers Bay.
nah, it's green. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But as far as like protection and shot making and that aspect of it,
topography, elevation change.
right?
If you're lucky enough to hit the green, then you'll notice now that you've got a 20-foot putt that breaks 14 feet. So you see them standing with their back to the hole to hit a 20-footer. Danny Willett, in one case, he was on a par 5, actually made the front part of the green in 2, and then 4-putted for a bogey.
Oh yeah.
We saw Martin Keimer, par 3, reach the green because he simply shot it away from the flag. He didn't go at the flag, and he pulled it a little bit. He got nervous at the bottom end of the stroke.
Yep.
Tugged it a little bit. He now has 55 feet for birdie. He 3-putts, makes a bogey.
Yep.
So the golf course not only is going to be demanding off the tee box and on your approach shot, but the greens are not going to. And I can only imagine during the Ryder Cup, the European squad could light these puppies up.
Oh, no doubt.
They're healthy. You know what I mean? So, I mean, even for this week in the European Tour's regular stop, they probably haven't got them lit up. They're probably at 11 and a half, maybe 12. But Ryder Cup, they could light these babies up. So I'm just looking forward to it, guys. And if you get the opportunity to watch some of the coverage, please do so. It's very entertaining, not only because you got several named players there. Your David Howells and your Pepperills and the Wattels and the Nixons and the Donaldsons and Lees. You got those players there, but to watch them navigate through this golf course and then the elements pick up a little bit, like the wind that did this morning, it adds to the excitement level.
And if you're like George and you like to watch people
nothing
struggle
else to
and
do.
have trouble doing things when it comes to playing golf and watch them struggle, it's a perfect place to watch because these guys, like you said, the wind, the topography, the grass, the tall grass, the water.
Yeah.
This golf course is going to, if you have a weakness, it's going to show it.
But see, the Godfather likes to see other people struggle, and even though I do with 70-degree days and no wind. So I just like to see people go through the other turmoils that I have on an everyday basis.
Yep.
How about that?
But it's just a good track.
Okay, so the other tournament that's going on this week, and of course a lot of hoopla about this, Tiger's back on. Of course, we talked about that earlier, of course, in Roundtable. No, I'm not going to go there. So, Hugh, you don't have
Good.
to. Yeah. Greenbrier, an exciting event. A lot of tour players have now moved to Greenbrier. They've taken residence there. They live there. This has, of course, made its history. Sam Snead, Emeritus, Tom Watson, pro Emeritus, and now, yeah, it's easy for you to say. So with Tiger, they reported all this week. He's playing well. He's practiced well. I got the over-under for him today in the first round of the Greenbrier at 80.
I'm just looking for to go ding, ding, just like with Sylvester Stallone and Apollo Creed. You know, just in the original Rocky. You know, when he came back and taught him in the second one for the fight against Clubber Lang.
Uh-huh.
Ding, ding. The bell goes off. Let's see what the man brings to the table.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, do you see him playing well today?
No.
Okay.
Because this golf course right here, you've got to play. Since they've gone in and redone this golf course, and I had a chance, folks, when I was in Hilton Head at the IJGA to take kids up there once a year, and they would play. And they were redoing the golf course then, and going around with Hill Herrick, who's the golf professional up there at the Greenbrier. They've done a lot of things to this golf course to make it just a gorgeous facility and a great test. It is not extremely hard, but it's also one of those that you have to put the ball in play or it is very hard. So if you can put the ball in play point A to point B, then to point C, you can shoot low here. And you'll see the guys that shoot low and that win this golf tournament are the ones that play that way. I don't know if Tiger has the patience to play that way, George. I really don't.
Well, he chose the event, obviously, to get back into rhythm again for the Open Championship, which is just 2 weeks away. Of course, this week with Greenbrier, next week's John Deere, and then, of course, everybody heads over to St. Andrews, which we'll be covering extensively here on coverage of the majors here on TGD Radio and TV. So I'm actually kind of surprised that Daly got a spot in this field. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, he got a spot.
I'd like to see John come back. I really
Really?
would. Yep.
Are you the only one left?
Yep. He's a train wreck, and I love it.
Well, doggone it, I'm tired of the train wreck.
Right.
I really am. I saw him at Augusta, and frankly, it just whatever interest I had in him leading up to that point, which there were those thoughts at times, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just done. So
one interesting thing I just noticed with the Greenbrier is not only are they marketing golf, they're also marketing concerts as well. So there's multiple things to do. So at the end of the day, instead of going home and eating or staying at the motel until the following day, you can attend concerts. So they've got Keith Urban and the Perry Band.
They got 3 big concerts going on.
Yep, and then Miranda Lambert and Blake Shelton, which is
I was actually offered passes to each of those concerts and a room at the Greenbrier and all for this week.
And you turned it down and didn't offer it to me?
Oh, guess
That's
who?
just 300 kinds of wrong right
Guess
there.
who was in the room when it was mentioned and offered to me and who took it immediately? Mermaid. The Merrimans. Father and son drove up there 2 days ago.
That place is it's a blast. I mean, Heather and I used to go up there. That was our kind of a getaway. When we go, even though I'd have to go out there and work the tournament and whatnot, being able to go to dinner, put on a coat and tie, I have to go to dinner.
Right.
You got
and you still got that coat and tie.
8-course meal, all that stuff. It's
a
beautiful place.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What they give you like 8 pork rinds or what?
No, buddy. This is first class.
Oh, first class. This is buffet?
No. No. Nice try.
You got one of those little lamps on the table?
One of those little lamps, and they bring you your soup, your salad, just one after the other. They just keep bringing stuff.
They bringing stuff out to you?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
You don't have to go up and get it yourself?
And up in the middle of West by God, Virginia, and I'm telling you, this place is gorgeous.
West by God, Virginia.
It's gorgeous. Beautiful piece of property.
Do they have some of that there cloth on the tables?
Yes, there's tablecloth on
real.
We call that fancy linen. Fancy linen.
Yeah, I always like that stuff. My grandma used to have some. You get through a dinner, take it in there and cover up and go to sleep.
That's it.
Yep.
Dual purpose.
Dual purpose. Use it as a blankie.
Okay.
Ryo Ishikawa's at 6 under par, 64. He is done for the day.
Birdied the last hole.
What a great last hole being a par 3.
Mm-hmm.
Quite controversial.
Yep.
So we've seen some great finishes on that par 3, even though a lot of the players kind of talked down about it, that, why do we finish on a par 3? But kind of a squirrely layout. But then again, too, I think they have multiple courses there, folks. There's several courses on property. I actually think that one of the other courses is probably a better tournament course, but the only problem is it doesn't come back to the clubhouse.
And that's the one they played the Ryder Cup on back, I believe, in the 70s.
Right.
Early to mid-70s.
Mm-hmm.
Lanny Watkins and Litsky, a bunch of those guys played on it, but they played on the other course, and it is a fantastic golf course. But like you said, it goes out and it doesn't
come back.
So
Yeah.
that's the issue there.
And
But
I think they would be worried that Bubba or somebody would stand on their porch and shoot somebody when they came by. So.
Yeah, well, who knows?
A lot of your older courses would finish with a par 3, and that was the reason for that was to settle bets.
Yeah, and then like Westchester, you go play Westchester where the women played up there, a few weeks ago. The first hole's a par 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times do you see that?
Well,
Hardly
that's true.
Never.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you finish on a par 3, who cares? It's a great. You're hitting a 4 or 5 iron. You got to make birdie or.
I don't like courses that start on a par 3.
No.
Have you ever noticed how that always backs up a golf course right off the bat?
Well, it does.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Yep, it does. But then again, too, you always got you hate start with the par 5 because they always put the long drive and you're not warmed up and, all of a sudden, you're sitting there trying to overstep your swing.
And you
Par
got the
4
guys-
is a good
Of course,
number.
I would never do that.
No, not you. Yeah.
I would never do that.
No.
Hugh watches my tempo. Okay, Brian Davis. Brian Davis is at 5 under par through 17. Who is in right now at 5 under par? All
Everybody and their grandmother, it looks like.
Vegas? Is that
Jonathan Vegas.
Is that his name?
Brendan Todd, Jonathan Bird, Langley, and then B. Smith.
Where did Vegas come from?
I haven't seen him in a long time.
I thought he became a flight attendant or something. I don't. Where the heck did he come from?
He's playing solid.
There's
5 under par through 16. Brendan Todd, who is going to the Open Championship, he's one of the few leaders up there on the first page of the leaderboard that is actually going to the Open Championship at this time. Of course, with the European Tour event this week, there'll be a couple other guys that'll get quote-unquote invitations to play in the Open Championship, just like here at Greenbrier, and of course next week at the John Deere, like we saw one Jordan Spieth just a couple of years ago.
And by the way, you'd be glad you didn't make your bet.
And what bet was that?
He's 3 under through 13.
Tiger?
Yes.
Oh, 3 under through 13.
I'm telling you.
Did he
you know,
start
if
on the
starts-
back or,
yeah.
or my goodness, he started on the back.
He and Kiz are tied.
There's $6.7 million purse in this tournament.
This is a really good field. I mean, they've
Six.
gotten some good players. In
Look
this
who
field.
also is at 3 under par, Tony Finau.
Yep.
I told you folks several weeks ago, you keep an eye on this young man. Okay? He had a phenomenal Chambers Bay event, U.S. Open. He's been an ATM this year. Fantasy League, whatever it may be that you want to look for that player that's outside the top 20, top 25 or whatever that you can't bet on, you've already bet on him. Tony Finau is a player. And that boy is establishing himself as being a mainstay and a stayer on the PGA Tour. So keep an eye on him. 3 under, he's got tremendous length. He's got a great touch. And if he hones in his putting, he could really be a threat to a lot of people. I don't care what your name is on this leaderboard. The Greenbrier guys, it's interesting in the fact of where it is, the history of where it is, of course the bunker for the Congress, in case of a nuclear war. Then of course the several number of presidents that have attended this thing. It was the home of Sam Snead, where he used to be in the pro shop and would ask, you want me to come out in the driving range with you, and by the way, do you have $100?
Yeah.
Right.
And now they got Mr. Trevino's doing it.
Mr. Who?
Lee Trevino.
Lee Trevino.
He's now the representative.
Yeah,
of
just
the
noticed
Greenbrier.
that. That's correct.
Fantastic. So it was Watson, and now he's passed it on to Lee.
Yep.
That's fantastic. I like that. But I've heard stories, and one of which came from the gentleman that I fitted just this last weekend from the Greenbrier. He drove down just for a fitting, and he's the one that offered the passes and all this other stuff. But he was telling me about how Sam would sit in the office where he had a little window that looked out onto the driving range, and he would see several of the members out there, and he would get up and walk outside with a club in his hand, and he would walk up to each one of them and say, hello, good morning, how are you? Hey, I noticed this, I noticed that. He'd go back in, and then he would produce 10 invoices and put them in their lockers. He would charge them just to speak to them. It's not that they came to him, they asked him for help or anything. He said he would produce an invoice if he just said good morning to you. So,
I don't reckon I could afford that.
and this coming from a member.
Yeah.
So interesting comment. I was like a sponge. I was soaking all this stuff in because he told me a couple other things too that I really don't want to repeat here. But he talked about the days as a member. He's been there for 20 plus years, but he talked about the days when they were on the verge of bankruptcy, when they had acquired all this land and tax bills came up on the land and they didn't know if they were going to be able to cover the taxes, and how they were losing members left and right, and the hotel lodge itself was dilapidated. It had gone under misrepair. Nobody came there for the spa, and that's all they advertised and marketed it.
Yep.
They couldn't even keep enough gas in the mowers to keep all the grass cut. He was just going one after another, and it even got to the point, evidently, that the board of directors, along with the general manager and the founders of Greenbrier, the family members that are now still there, approached Congress to get supplemental federal help for this place. And he says, I don't know whether it actually happened or not, but all of a sudden, we had an influx of cash.
Nice.
And, for those of
So
you,
was this another government bailout?
it might very well have been because of the bunker, but it's one of those things, though. You
Oh,
drive
yeah.
in there, George, and, I mean, it's just there's nothing.
Oh, it's out in the middle of nowhere.
And, I mean, all of a sudden, there's a gas station and there's like a little whatever, and then poof, there it is. And you're going, if I needed to get something, or if somebody had a heart, you better have a helicopter to get them to where they need to go. Because you're not getting in a car and going because it's, mountains and you're not just going to run down the street to a grocery store either. And the caddies that go, they're having to stay down the road 30 to 40 minutes.
Right.
Well,
I asked him, I said, okay, so, and considering this individual is there every day as a member, I asked him, I said, so what's led to the popularity? Many of the players have got property there. Many celebrities have gotten property there. And he said, pure and simple, it's the remoteness. He says they can go there, they can get away from there by helicopter, or they just want to be limoed in. He says, but they can get there and they don't have to worry about the paparazzi. He said, because many times the paparazzi has tried to go through the woods and things, not to come in from the main roads, which are heavily guarded, evidently, by the local sheriff's department or whatever. But he said, interestingly, the property is likewise used not only in the areas where you can fire firearms and do fishing or whatever, but the property is heavily used by the Central Intelligence Agency for training.
Yeah, since 1958, that's when they began construction on the bunker, and it's massive, folks. It's absolutely massive.
it's a big
And it's all
tool.
underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they don't even use it. It's just
So he
outdated.
said that the celebrities appreciate the fact that, not only do they have the local sheriff's department, they have the local security that handles the Greenbrier, but likewise, too, they've got the Central Intelligence Agency and I guess FBI or whatever, who knows, but they're all the time swarming the mountains around this thing. Training.
Oh, yeah.
So the paparazzi are not going to be able to get in or the stalkers or whatever because they don't know what they're going to walk up on.
Yeah.
And then he said, he made the comment likewise. He goes, and then let them go across the mountain. And I said, so what's across the mountain? He goes, that's where I live. And I said, so what's over there? He goes, you watched any of these Appalachian shows?
It's called the Hatfields and McCoys.
He said-
That's
he
what
said-
it's like.
He said, if they think you're in the woods hunting for ginseng, or
Oh,
they
it's
think
on.
you're in the woods doing shine,
That's their livelihood.
Oh yeah. He says, not only do you got to deal with what's on reservation at the Greenbrier,
Yeah.
but then you got to deal with what's on the other side of the hill.
Yeah.
And he said, believe me, what's at the Greenbrier is much easier than
Oh,
what's
yeah.
on the other side of that hill.
Oh, no doubt.
He said, because on the other side of the hill where I live, we don't ask questions.
No, they don't.
Who are you, boy?
I love it.
They don't ask that. He said,
The ginseng is a big thing, and people protect their property with pretty much anything to keep people out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely
So
amazing.
he made the comment that it's not uncommon, and he lives. He showed me a picture of his house. He showed me a picture of Greenbrier. He showed me his name on his locker, things like that. But he goes, it's not uncommon for you be laying in bed 2, 3 in the morning, and all of a sudden you hear these random shots going off, and they figure that that's just another individual that might have traipsed onto somebody else's property.
I tell you, Al, you'll know where this is. I was in Johnson County,
Yes, sir.
Tennessee, hunting several years ago. Got a story just like you're talking about. You never know what you're going to wander up on.
No.
And I was bow hunting. So I was stealth-like in the woods, okay? Nobody knew I was there. I'd move an inch and wait 5 minutes, move another inch. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew everything that's going on around me, man. I mean, I was in the
Tuned
moment.
in. Yep.
And I was walked by this big oak tree, and out from behind that oak tree stepped a guy in camo and a sawed-off shotgun. He says, "Where do you think you're going?" I said, "Back that way."
Back that way and quick, sir. Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I don't know what he was
Yep.
guarding, but
cares?
I wasn't getting
Yep.
any closer.
Who cares?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was rather
That's
entertaining.
that
day.
happens. Oh, yeah.
And I talked to him. Interestingly, he said that the Greenbrier tournament every year, he says they take the best care of their volunteers than any other event in the PGA Tour.
Right.
They get one round on the championship course where they play the tournament at, and that's within 2 days of the event itself being finished. And then they get 4 rounds at the other courses. So they're getting 5 rounds of golf.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Plus they get their shirts, they get Greenbrier hats, they get a Greenbrier rain jacket,
Yep.
they get towels, they get balls, and their food is paid for,
Yep.
their room and lodge is paid for, but he said it's kind of interesting because the USGA and the PGA require that we have to charge our volunteers. So they charge them the $25 to be a volunteer.
Right. But then they hook them up.
But then they
with-
turn around
Yeah.
and give them 10 times that,
Yeah.
tenfold return on what they do. And he actually volunteers 2 weeks out of every year for this event.
Nice.
And he takes time from his business, which I'm still to find out what that is. He wouldn't tell me.
Right.
So he just says, I seem to make my money in several different places. Okay.
Yep.
I'll leave that alone.
That don't touch it.
No. I want to thank everyone for joining us, Pro Golf Talk Live. We kind of got off the tour here today, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
It was.
Oh, no doubt.
Extremely, yes.
Good stuff. TGD Radio and TV are produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for thegolfdirector.com. When visiting the Golf Director, be sure to check out those featured course pages. They're real easy to find. You'll see all the courses there where you'll find up-to-date information about the course conditions, specials, much, much more that are happening at those courses. Need help with your next golf vacation?
Just call Dave.
Why not? Just call. He's back there waiting for you to call right now. Give us a call, 844-GO-GOLF-1. Call Dave at 844-464-6531. Hey, all of our programming is archived for listening and viewing on demand. To catch up on any show you may have missed, you can go to the TGD Radio or the TGD TV tabs in the menu screen at thegolfdirector.com. Remember now, we're now available on over 1
Billion.
God, that sounds good. Devices at iTunes, Audio Realm, TuneIn, YouTube, Ustream, Roku, Blueberry, and, of course, Myrtle Beach Golf app. For HR3, who we're glad is back after a 3-week vacation.
Oh, now
For
it's
Al
3
Cloyd, I'm George Honeycutt. We thank Jeff behind the glass, but most importantly, we thank you for tuning in from all over the world. There's a lot more golf news and information coming up next.